Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Conversations and Connections. This is a space where I have the opportunity to meet some incredible people and have a conversation and connect with them about their faith journey and what they're doing to honor God. It is so exciting and I love it. So I'm so glad you are here with us today. I would like to introduce to you Natalie Vanderlaan today. She is a friend, recently have come to know her very well, and I'm excited to share about her faith story and her journey with her family and with Safe Families in Hamilton, an incredible organization that you're going to learn all about today. And Natalie's going to point you to how you can understand more about this incredible ministry that is serving so many families in the Hamilton-Halton area. So Natalie, welcome to Conversations and Connections
Yeah,
today.
thank you so much, Sandy. An
Oh, it's a
honor.
pleasure. Yeah, I love it. It's so fun to connect with friends and
Mhm.
share your story. That's what this podcast is really all about,
Love it.
sharing faith stories. So,
Love
well, let's get right into it. Okay, well, you are the director of Safe Families in Hamilton. So we are going to get to more of the details of this organization and what you do shortly. But what I'd love to do is hear about you. I'd love to go back into your life a little bit and your faith journey so people understand a little bit more about you. And then also you can share a little more of your background and your current family.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, no, I was born in British Columbia. I'm the youngest of 8 children. I feel very blessed, and I know that's such an easy thing to say when I grew up in a Christian family. I went to Christian elementary school, high school. I went to Redeemer University, Christian
Mhm.
University. So I all of my life I've been surrounded by believers, by Christian community.
Mhm.
So I'm really blessed that I've been able to feel secure in that.
Mhm.
But as I grew up, just understanding the needs in our communities, some of the things that people are struggling with.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was eye-opening to me,
Mhm.
especially going from BC to Ontario and just like there's just so many people in this world and there are so many different struggles and what are we going to do about
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
that is broken in this world? So yeah, I think yes, believed I've always been a part of a faith community, which
Mhm.
is beautiful. And my parents instilled that in us and taught us well and led us well and discipled us well. And they always were in caregiver roles. My dad was a school principal, so I saw him disciple students and his staff. And my mom was always doing respite care for children with
Mhm.
special needs. She
Mhm.
worked in a home for elderly people. So she always, yeah, what I saw was an example of people caring for others, and I
Wow.
wanted that for myself. Um, yeah, so as I got older, just wow, being bamboozled by how many needs are out there,
Yes,
and really
absolutely.
trying to discern how I can step in and support people with different needs.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, sorry, that was not a great answer.
No,
I
it's
I feel
amazing.
like
I
I
love
feel
it.
like it's like this blessing and privilege to grow up. And I sometimes feel like, oh, my testimony kind of sucks. Like I don't have this like, wow, that's amazing. But I think there have been, wow, that's amazing moments all of my life.
I love
And I'm
that.
almost like too used to it. Um,
Mm,
so really to sit back and reflect on all of those, wow, that's amazing moments to
yeah.
understand God's faithfulness and how things could have gone very differently
Mhm.
had I not been a part of this community, had I not been a part of a family who gave me plenty of examples and led by example and taught me,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, what it is to be a Christian in this
Yeah.
broken world.
Yeah. That's incredible. Honestly, I relate to you in so many levels because I did grow up in BC as well and moved to Ontario and didn't come from a family of eight, but there was four of us. But I also had that legacy of a Christian family and also in my grandparents. And so it was instilled in me, just like you're talking about, at a very young age, that this whole idea of Christianity was just what you did, live and breathe and
Mhm.
church, community. But I think that for whatever reason, God allowed that in your life and in mine, there's this gift that we have to be able to pour into our families, into other people. It's just a unique situation, and everybody has something different to offer and being Christ's hands and feet. And it's neat to be able to for you to look back and think, I love the concept of just all those little blessings and all those little moments, because I can relate to that too. And I'm sure so many people can that are watching. Like, really, God does show up in so many beautiful little ways. Whether you became a Christian at the age of 50 or you were raised in a Christian home, God is doing an amazing work, and he's calling you to some incredible things. So let's
Mhm.
get into a little bit about these incredible things he's calling you to. So maybe let's go to kind of when you met your husband, and then how the journey, I guess, started in your life, how God planted the seeds for the whole concept of fostering. And yeah.
Yeah. So I met my husband Josh at Redeemer University.
Okay.
He was my ride to church. He had a car, I did not. So we started off as friends, which was beautiful. I was going to his parents' house every Sunday. They kind of had this open door policy where him and all of his friends from university would come for
That's
lunch.
great. I love that.
And then the closer we got, the less other people kept coming. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I think they were like, let's leave these two alone.
Yeah, I think they should
Um,
go to church on their own.
so we met, we got married. We had two children, Aria, Lenora, and then it was at that point in church where we were noticing families doing foster care.
Hmm.
And it was really a concept we had never discussed. We never thought about it. We knew, yeah, oh yeah, that's a need out there that other people are helping with, and that is
Great.
amazing. And you
Mhm.
know, the sayings, oh, I could never do that. Oh
Yes.
no, it's way too hard. Um,
Mhm.
and then yeah, we saw our friends doing it and people we respected in our church community
Mhm.
welcoming children in.
Mhm.
And especially me, I think had this really strong tug on my heart. Like, yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, I come from a family of eight. Maybe that's part of it. Of course. What's one more?
Yeah.
We have the means to do this. And I talked to my husband about it, and he was on board.
Mhm.
We went through the training through the CAS in Hamilton, now Child and Family Supports. And yeah, we were on board. And then towards the end of our training, I found out I was pregnant. So wonderful, oopsie, yay, thing. So we had to put it on hold for a while. And then we had
Mhm.
our third son. And I remember in that time really wrestling while I was pregnant. Like, God,
Mhm.
this was such a clear call for me.
Right.
I really felt like this is what you wanted. And
Mhm.
I wanted it. I was
Right.
on board.
Yeah.
Our hearts were aligned,
We're
weren't
ready
they?
to go.
Yeah, and then that shifts, and then at the time, and still to this day, I follow Jason Johnson, he's a big speaker and writer and pastor, and he talks a lot about foster care. He himself is a foster parent, and he has this saying that we're not all called to do the same thing, but we are all capable of doing something.
Love
So when
that.
I was looking back at some of his posts, trying to figure out like why, what's going
Mhm.
on,
Yeah.
I read that again, and I thought, okay, okay, God, I am maybe not being called to do this one thing, but I am capable of doing something. So let's provide those meals for the people who are fostering. Let's offer babysitting services. Let's offer to whatever, mow their lawn, tutor their child, things like that.
Great.
And then, yeah, we had our third, our son Johnny. And then when he was about two, we opened our home for foster care and we had a couple short-term placements.
Mhm.
And then we had another call for a little girl coming out of hospital, and we were told a few months.
Mhm.
And it was 3 years. So
Wow.
you never really know
Don't know.
when you get that
No.
timeline,
Wow.
God's plan, but it was a beautiful plan, and there were frustrations and a lot of sadness and questions and all
Yeah.
of that along the way. But
Yeah.
yeah, he really did a lot on my heart, on my husband's heart, on
Mhm.
my kids' hearts, on this little girl's heart, on the
Mhm.
yeah, oh, it's incredible the way
Yeah.
that God works through one situation on so many people.
Yes. Yes. I can
Yeah.
see that. And you know what? It really comes down to this, the whole concept of you saying yes.
Mhm.
And with that faith step, you don't know what's going to happen. You just said, okay, Lord, I'm just going to say yes. We're going to do this. You didn't know who was coming into your home. You didn't know the timeline, but it's like God knew and he had a purpose for it. He had a perfect plan. And the outcome may not be always what you think it's going to be, but part of that journey now has totally changed you as a family. And it's preparing you for something else, even that you don't know right now. And that even I can say, even in my life, I don't know what God's preparing me for next, but it's that faithfulness right now saying yes today. And you
Exactly.
did that. And I've seen that too in different people that I know that have taken in people or whatever it is, whether it's you're serving our neighbor or at the church, whatever it is that you're doing, God is going to use you when you say yes. It's just a guarantee, right? And
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about, well, not just me, but everybody who's watching, what is Safe Families? So, and how did that
Yes.
unfold in your life? Because you were working with Child and Family Services. And
Mhm.
at the time, I'm assuming it wasn't Safe Families, or maybe it was. But anyway, you talk a little bit about what it is and how you got involved with that.
Yeah. Um, so Safe Families started in 2003 in the States, and it came to Canada in 2012, and then it came to the Hamilton-Halton region in, oh, wow, man, I should know this right off the top. I think 2021. We've been in existence for a few years in this area.
Mhm.
And when it came and I went to an information session,
Mhm.
it really just triggered this passion inside of me to care for families.
Mhm.
And I really understood that as a foster parent because at that time we had supported, well, we had fostered a couple of children who, had their parents had a bit more support, they
Mhm.
likely wouldn't be in foster care. And really seeing that, oh, wow, like poverty, a lack of resources
Mhm.
is sometimes the reason children are being taken from their families. And how is this happening? And why is this happening? And understanding that through Safe Families, which is really the local church, how are we able to, yeah, support family? We have the resources, we have the people, we have the money, we a lot of people have the time.
Great.
Let's provide for those practical things, those resources, rides, meals, education, financial support, all of these things that really they're good parents, right? I could see that in some of the biological parents that yeah, for our foster children, that they're good parents. They love their children and they want to
Yes.
care for them well, understanding that they can't do it alone, but who can? I mean, I think of
You cannot do
my
it alone.
journey as a parent, right? I mean, I had a ton of support. My church provided meals for
Yes.
weeks and months, and my
Mhm.
parents flew in from BC to live with us to help with the
Right.
transitions.
Yeah.
And I mean, in our churches, if we're going through a hard time, we literally have hundreds of people we can call for support. So
Mhm.
it was just this eye-opening, like, of course we need to
Mhm.
do this for people in our community. They may not be part of a church community, but we can still extend that to them. So yeah, I right away I signed up. I wanted to be on the steering committee, the startup committee for our chapter. I was hired as the assistant director at that time, and I'm now in the chapter director role. And just this, it's an amazing opportunity every day. I mean, I can talk for hours about Safe Families, but it is really incredible to see the church serving in the community. And the church is really on display as it should be, as the hands and feet of Jesus, as this community body of Christ, right? Where we're all playing our part, doing our thing that we're able to do, understanding we're not all capable, we're all
No.
called to take a child into our home, but
Mhm.
maybe we can make an extra meal once a month. Maybe we have time for a 5 minute phone call with a mom to encourage her or answer a question she may
Mhm.
have. So yeah, that was kind of the very short story of how I got involved. Info session, joined the steering committee, became staff, and now I'm leading this chapter and just connecting, really bridging the gap between the families who need the support and are asking for it, with the people who can provide the support, and those are people within our churches.
Yeah. What would you say to the church, somebody who's watching today that is involved in a church community and this is the first time they're hearing about Safe Families? What would you recommend to them to bring this forward to their church and to encourage the church to get involved?
Yeah, so I always would recommend to chat with me, to reach out, call me, text me, email me,
Mhm.
um, because there are so many different avenues within Safe Families you can serve. So just a really quick overview is
Yes, please.
how we serve families is with our circle of support model. So when a family reaches out for support, either through a referring agency like the CAS or hospital staff, social workers, etc., we would then I would go through this referral process, understanding what their needs are. Okay, yeah, this fits the model of Safe Families. Let's do an intake. Then Heather, our family placement coordinator, will go out and meet with the family and do an intake. And that's about an hour where we get to know it more in depth. What are their needs? What are the gaps? What supports do they have already that we can work with? Because we don't want to work in silos. We want to collaborate with other resources in the community, whether it's a pregnancy center, whether it's hospital staff, whether it's CAS,
Mhm.
school, other family members who are wanting to support, but they're burnt out because they've been doing it by themselves for so long. And then after that intake, we will connect that family with, well, like I said, that circle of support. So we're not having one person or one family supporting a family in need. That would result in burnout and overwhelm. So what we're doing is we are connecting them to a number of volunteers. And one of the roles that we have is the family coach. So a family coach would set goals with the family and help them reach those goals, get them connected to other resources that they may not be aware of yet, and then facilitate the rest of the volunteers. So they're in touch with all of the other volunteers, making sure the appropriate support is being offered, that we're moving towards goals,
Mhm.
that we're not just providing a band-aid, that we are working towards how is this family going to remain sustainable and stay on their feet.
Yeah.
And then the family friend. So first the family coach and then a family friend, and that's just a friend, someone to be on the other end of the phone call with, to go for a walk with, go for coffee, offer advice, encouragement, motivation sometimes, um, help them prepare for an interview or write a resume, stuff like that. And then we have resource friends. So resource friends provide for the more tangible needs. So things like rides to appointments, we have a meals ministry. So we have volunteers make meals and deliver them to our office. And then we have volunteer drivers, resource friends, who deliver those meals to the families we're serving.
Right.
We have connections to plumbers, electricians, mechanics who are providing services for free for the families that we're connected to. And then we have the host family. So the host family takes children in temporarily while parents get back on their feet. There are many examples of why a hosting would happen, but probably one of the most common ones is a mom, single mom, 3 kids, needs to go in for surgery. And she's not able to lift more than 5 pounds for 6 weeks. So during that time, we would then host her children while she recovers. And this doesn't mean we are taking the children from her
No,
care. The
no.
parents always remain in custody. They have control over decision making.
Right.
They're still very much in control. And if they want to see their children daily, they can see their children daily.
Mhm.
We're not trying to do for them. We want to do with them. So like I would call my mom to come help me with my kids or my aunt or my sister. That's
Yes.
kind of what we're trying to provide, right? This extended family like
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
for people in the community who just don't have that. And it's hard to believe that there are people in our community who have nobody to call.
Yeah.
Like there must be somebody.
Yeah.
But really, there are people who come from broken families,
Mhm.
broken relationships. They're scared. They've
Yeah,
been through some
absolutely.
really traumatic experiences. And we
Mhm.
have this opportunity to come in gently and say, hey,
Yeah. We're
we're
here.
not here to take away or do for
Yeah.
or undermine
It's,
you or set goals for you.
yeah.
Let's discuss what you want for your family, what you want for yourself, and how we can support you to reach those goals.
Yeah. I love that
And
so
it
much.
really is just this opportunity for someone to feel comfortable being vulnerable and sharing their story, knowing that we actually don't have a lot of power here. It's not like we're
No.
in here writing reports and oh,
Yeah.
this is wrong, this is wrong. No, we're focusing on the good and we're working on those things. So
Mhm.
yeah, again, that circle of support, all of us volunteers working together, playing our part. So it's not one person hosting the children, then providing a meal, and then, oh, I need to drive mom to this appointment.
Right.
No, we all play our part. And in that way, this family can be more strong and we
Yeah.
can maintain our sanity and
Yeah.
our own lives, right? We understand
Absolutely.
volunteers are
Mhm.
doing this on top of their own lives, right? They
Right.
have their own families, they
Yeah.
have jobs, they're involved in their church community or in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, we understand this is extra, but it doesn't have to be extra. It can be just fitting it into your life
Mhm.
A 5 minute phone call while you're on the way to the grocery store, while you're doing groceries, or a quick, hey, I'm at the grocery store. Do
Do
you
you
need
need
anything?
anything?
Let me
Yeah.
drop it off. A mom text, I'm so overwhelmed today. Okay, I'm in the area. I'm going to swing by and drop off a coffee and give you a hug. Like really basic things sometimes.
Mm,
And it goes a long way. I often tell
absolutely.
people when I'm driving, I often drive by one of the families that we support and I'll just honk. And then later, when I have the time, I'll text and be like, hey, did you hear someone honking like a crazy woman? That was me. And it's just these little moments of connection, right? That a lot of people in the community just don't have. They don't have these positive moments of interaction with people and connection.
Yeah.
And so it really is a very basic way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty basic and it can be easy if
Yeah.
we're all doing what we can together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the whole concept of the collaboration that you're talking about.
Mhm.
And I love how you're making it so clear that it doesn't have to be everything all at once. Because as soon as people think of volunteering or getting into some sort of ministry, they instantly get overwhelmed thinking, I can hardly take care of my life. How
Yeah,
am I going to take care of somebody else's life? And it literally comes down to you're bringing a bag of groceries. You shopped for yourself and you bring an extra bag, and then you bring a coffee and you just, hey, can I chat with you for 5 minutes and I'll help you put the groceries away and whatever it is that you're
exactly.
calling it. It's really it helps simplify how somebody could actually volunteer. So I really appreciate how you laid that out because it really makes a lot of sense. It's common sense to me. And
Yeah,
the impact just keeps on going. And I know, and as you know, and you just talked about this, having somebody drop off a meal, somebody come by and say hi, somebody text, it can change, changes the trajectory of my day.
yeah,
And to think about the fact that I could do that for somebody else and it's not small. There's nothing too small, right? And I love how you've
exactly.
really place that out there in such a beautiful way to encourage others to get involved in something like Safe Families.
Hmm.
Is there a story or something you could share? I'm sure you have a lot.
Yes,
Maybe just some sort of encouraging story that you've had with a family.
you're right. There are lots. I mean, every family we connect with is, and like you said earlier, it's our faithfulness to God's call to care for the vulnerable is
Mm,
not necessarily seeing a success story. It's understanding that that first step you took towards that broken situation was your faithfulness. And what God does with that is what God does with that. And we don't always have to know or understand.
yeah.
So I always, even if it's not this happy story at the end, I always know and can trust that God used me, used this volunteer for his kingdom. And we've seen it so many times where it's not necessarily the family that has been impacted, but the social worker that made the referral
Mm,
saying, wow, you're still sticking around. You're still there. Look, why are you doing
yeah.
this? And we have
Why?
opportunities seriously every day to share the gospel with people who have
That's
never heard
great.
it because they just don't get it. And we're able to say, hey, actually, we
Yeah.
don't fully get it either, but
Yeah.
we have received this grace, this love, this mercy, this
Yeah.
compassion. And that is why we are offering that to other people, right? We want to love others because we have an overflow of the love from Jesus.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'll start with a story about our friend. I'm gonna withhold from saying names, but um, our friend, she has 3 children. She is pregnant and she was considering abortion because she was so overwhelmed and she couldn't imagine bringing another child into this world. And there are some like pretty intense like mental health concerns. She also can't afford a bigger apartment. There are things that, yeah, it would make it hard for her to have this child, but because of the support and the community she received from friends who were saying, hey, like, we're here for you no
Mm,
matter what.
yeah.
These are the things we can do, and this is how we'll do it. We're not just saying, hey, this is a problem
Yeah.
without offering a solution, right? So she's kept the baby. She's still pregnant, but she's getting near the end. And we have safety plans in place, and we have this circle of support who is They're visiting her in her home. They are helping her clean. They're helping her organize. They're helping her with her meal planning.
Mhm.
They are helping with childcare for the kids. We'll host the kids when she's feeling overwhelmed.
Mhm.
They were hosted for a number of months and they recently are back in her care as she prepares to welcome another child because,
Mhm.
yeah, it's hard. It's
Mhm.
nice to give people this break from parenting,
Absolutely.
but at the same time, it is their reality. So it
But
is something
they
we
will
have
be
to
coming back.
exactly.
Right.
So we do have to work towards that reunification all the time, as often as
Yeah. No,
possible.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Safe Families, I mean, some hostings are a weekend and we'll typically do up to 3 months. But if children haven't gone home within that 3 months and they can't go home, then we have this duty to report, right? Where we then need to call in and say, hey, there's something else going on in this
Yeah.
home or family that warrants some
Need
extra
extra
care.
support. Mhm.
Yeah, because we're not professionals. We're volunteers stepping in and we can't counsel our
Right.
moms. We can refer them to counselors and help pay for that. But
But
yeah,
it's like knowing your limits and knowing what
exactly.
you can extend yourself to do. And then again, it becomes a collaboration within the
Exactly.
community. So it's everybody coming together to really provide a safe journey for
Mhm.
the family. Yeah.
Yeah, and because there's trust in this family with us and us with them, she has a counselor and has given consent for the counselor to discuss with us. So we're able to really work on
Mhm.
some very helpful and positive next steps rather than wonder like what's going on in counseling. Is she actually like going? Is she understanding? Is she learning? Is she growing?
Great.
So to be able to have those conversations too with all of the support involved,
That's
which is
so helpful.
really helpful. Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then just, I mean, this is one example out of many, but we have moms who are just like closed off to faith, right? And closed off to hearing about God. And that's fine.
Mhm.
We will still pray.
Yeah.
They don't need to know, that's fine. um, but I mean, this has happened a number of times where the children come to church with the family because it's a break for the mom
Mhm.
and it's a fun outing for the kids and they go to their Sunday school and they love it and they want to go back again. And then eventually mom or dad or both are saying, okay, what's going on? I want to know what's going
Yeah.
on at this church.
Yeah.
So they'll come and they're welcomed in with open arms, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, we so love your kid. Like, you've done such a great job. It's so nice to meet you. Come sit by me. Hey, do you want to come for lunch or do you want to have coffee? So it's really this widening of support. And that is the beauty of our volunteers coming from local churches because it's
Absolutely.
not just this volunteer supporting, it's this volunteer with their whole community
It's
supporting
true.
these.
They have this whole backing behind them, and
Yeah,
it becomes like the Sunday school department's there and the pastor's there, and then the food
exactly.
ministry or market ministry or something like that.
Exactly.
It becomes a place of wow, I can actually do this, and I
Yeah.
actually can have true friends through this because
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing, the family of God, right?
It is. It really is. It's probably one of the most beautiful things is when someone is welcomed into that community and there's no judgment and there's no like you don't have to have any prerequisites to be there. Like come
You don't
as
have
you
to have it all
are.
together. Yeah.
No, absolutely
We have
not.
to
I
have it
mean,
all together.
no, yeah. See me trying to get to church on Sunday morning with my three kids, and you will
Yeah,
know you do not
yeah.
have to have it all together.
Relatable. It's all relatable.
Yeah. Then we've seen moms keep coming and keep coming,
Agreed.
and they get connected to Bible studies and they keep coming. And we've had a couple of moms become baptized
Amazing.
because like they're closed off and then they're welcomed into this community where they understand, where they feel the love of God. And
Right,
they
hands and
are
feet. It's tangible. They're being
exactly, yeah. And they're
exposed and
given space
Mhm.
to again be vulnerable, share their story and have people that can speak into their situations, share their own vulnerabilities and really, yeah, just give space to ask questions they didn't even know they had,
Right.
and have people who can actually answer them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is beautiful.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and then just families who are there's ups and downs in all of our lives, right? So we'll host a child or children, and then when that hosting is done, say, hey, that's awesome. Like you reached these goals while that hosting was happening. You're doing so well. Um, like this, we don't open and close files with Safe Families. This is meant to be this ongoing support. the technical safe families part is when there's a hosting happening. That's when we have like our paperwork signed, our liability
Yeah.
insurance in place, all of this.
Yeah.
But after, we encourage the families and the volunteers to stay connected. Go to
That
church
makes
with
sense.
them, invite them to events in your neighborhood or your church or whatever, so that they continue to be
Mm,
connected.
yeah.
So we'll have repeat placements, as we call them, where, okay,
Mm,
yeah, they're doing really well. Their children are in their care, they're able to care for them, yada, yada. But then something happens, and okay, now we need to do another hosting. And that's fine. That's what we're here
ultimately,
for.
they don't feel like they're alone. They
Yeah,
know that they can call again and say, you know what, we're in a tough place, because that's all of us going through ups and downs, right?
absolutely.
And encouraging people to get connected and to stay connected is it's really amazing, and that's
Yeah.
just good at work.
Yeah.
Like how so just before we finish up today, how would you encourage somebody who's watching today that might actually think about, I didn't realize that this even existed, and actually I like to cook, or I have time to drive, or what would you say to that person today that's watching, and how would you encourage them to get involved with Safe Families?
Yeah, well, like you said, being faithful isn't having the whole picture or doing all of the things. It's taking that first step. And maybe that first step is researching what's available in your community. Maybe it's safe families, maybe it's foster care, maybe it's adoption. Do that research and pray through that research.
Yeah.
Talk with people who are in it. I mean, I am always happy to talk about my foster care journey,
Mhm.
my journey towards what we thought might be adoption, and that again changed.
Mhm.
Um, it's there are so many ways to get involved out there, but I think that first step, just take it. Just inch
Okay.
towards what you feel God is calling you to and pray that
Yeah.
he'll open doors and
Oh, he
close
will.
doors where you're not meant to go, right?
Yes, yes,
Exactly.
he
And
will.
just keep
Yeah.
going and see what he does. And maybe it is one day volunteering with Safe Families. Maybe
Yeah.
it is foster care,
Yeah.
but just keep taking those steps until you feel that it's not the right direction.
Yeah.
And in that, you can say you're being faithful to his call to care for the vulnerable.
Yeah. It is a risk, because
Oh,
you're putting yourself
absolutely.
out there, and I agree, a lot of people are probably watching today thinking, well, I don't have it all together. Well, we don't. None of us do. And that's why we need the Lord in our life. And so
Hmm.
here we are to be Christ's hands and feet. And that's exactly what you are doing, and your team. And I hear a lot about how incredible your team is, and how much fun you guys have, and the things that you
Oh,
get to
yeah.
do to provide for others. But what I do love too, I wanted to lastly note, was the team building that happens with you guys, and how it really is a very special place to work and to volunteer, and the connection that you all have. And it represents the church, Christ's hands and feet, so tangibly. And I just want to thank you so much, Natalie, for the work that you do, for what your team is doing. And I know it's not just here, it's across Canada as well.
Yeah.
Because my friend runs it in the BC area, and
Yes.
Jen Gamache, and then
Yeah.
there's different chapters. So this is really neat. It's really going across Canada, and it's already in the States. So I'm going to continue to pray that it just keeps moving. So thank you for being here with us today. I really loved our conversation. Thanks,
Thank you
Natalie.
so much, Sandy. It was so great to be able to have space to share.
I love it. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.